This week, a 95-year-old woman is accused of killing her 89-year-old roommate. And new developments in the case against Luigi Mangione. Plus,
that's just sad, to be honest.
A 63-year-old bystander is shot in the foot in broad daylight. Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. Here are the crimes across the 5 boroughs. We begin on the Lower East Side, where a 63-year-old woman and 21-year-old man were shot in broad daylight.
Gunfire in the middle of the afternoon on the Lower East Side. An innocent bystander just walking down the street hit by a bullet along with a young man. And
Fox 5's Duarte Geraldino is live near the crime scene. Duarte, you actually talked to a witness.
That's right. I'm at East Broadway and Clinton Street. This is where that 63-year-old woman was shot, right in front of a pizza shop. I walked into that pizza shop and I spoke to a man who works inside, and he told me what he did once he started hearing gunshots. Now, in Spanish, he told me, "Cuando vino el disparo, me tiré al piso." When the gunfire started, I threw myself on the floor. He says he heard about 5 rounds. He also says outside, there was a young man who was hit in the leg and trying to crawl behind the chairs in front of his pizza shop to avoid even more bullets. Now, sources tell Fox 5 that 21-year-old is not cooperating and that the 63-year-old woman is an innocent bystander. She was just walking by when she was hit. Now, they were both rushed to Bellevue. Both victims are expected to survive. Neighbors say this type of daytime gunfire is really just shaking their sense of self.
I think it's terrible. The neighborhood is dangerous in this moment.
A 63-year-old woman got shot.
Oh, man, it's crazy. A lot of people I don't know, it's a lot going on nowadays, but I feel like that's just sad, to be honest.
Police are telling us 2 men took off right after the shooting. They were on e-bikes. One of them was wearing a tan hoodie. The other is wearing a green hoodie. So far, no arrests have been made, and this investigation is still ongoing, but they are looking for those 2 men. Once again, 2 people were shot on the Lower East Side, including a 63-year-old woman who had a bullet go through her right foot.
We now head to Bushwick, where 2 Bodega employees were taken into custody after a man was found dead outside a store. The 2 were later released, pending an ongoing investigation.
We're also following some breaking news out of Brooklyn. A man was killed last night at a bodega in Bushwick. 2 people were taken into custody. Now the United Bodegas of America is weighing in on the case, urging for it to be dismissed.
All right, Fox 5's Duarte Geraldino is outside that bodega where a press conference just took place. Duarte.
Hey there, Steve. So 1 man is dead, 2 men were in custody, and the bodega's owners say that they hope that these men will soon be released. Behind me, this is an active investigation, and you can see officers are there. They're guarding this place because there's still a lot of evidence that has to be collected. Now, all of this started last night. Leaders of the Bodegas of America say the man who died had a long record with dozens of arrests and that he was the aggressor. They say he should never have been out of jail.
Anyone that gets caught looting, stealing, assaulting, robbing, they're in and they're out.
And they're also calling for bail reform because they say this is a key example of that. Now, the bodega workers, they say that they have the right to fight back. Now, this all happened last night just after 7 inside the Royal Deli and Grill on Knickerbocker Avenue. Police say that's when 59-year-old Jerry Hill was found unconscious with his head trauma. He was rushed to Elmhurst Hospital, but he just didn't survive. Investigators say he got into a fight with 2 men who worked at this bodega, Mukel Shaibi and Kelvin Mello. Both men were taken into custody, and the union says that they hope that they will soon be released. Now, here's what the union members say happened when all 3 of these men came face to face.
He tried to go behind the counter, and he slugged one of the workers and knocked him out. When his co-worker saw him knocked out on the ground, he took an object and hit him over the head. This is called self-defense. People need to understand that when you're assaulted, you have the right to defend yourself.
Here's what we know about Jerry Hill. He was 59 years old and lived right over here on Jefferson Street. Neighbors and police say he had been problematic in the neighborhood. He had more than 24 prior arrests. His most recent was in July when he was charged with assault on Knickerbocker Avenue. He was released without bail. So far, to be clear, no charges have been filed in this case, and the DA says the case is still under investigation. Now, the union workers, they believe that their members should absolutely not be charged, but there's a lot of tough questions to be answered. And right now, investigators are just gathering evidence.
Up in East Harlem, 2 teenagers were wounded during a shootout, raising questions about the involvement of police gunfire.
On the investigation, Duarte.
There are so many unanswered questions, Steve. Among them, did a police bullet hit any one of these teens? Officers confirmed they did open fire, but that's the big question tonight. Now, they say this all started around 5:30 here in East Harlem, and behind me you can see this is very much an active investigation. This involved 2 groups of teenagers that investigators say started opening fire. Ironically, police were leaving the Wagner houses when they walked out and heard the gunfire and started pursuing the suspects. Part of what happened next was caught on camera. You're looking at surveillance footage. I want you to focus on the upper right-hand corner of your screen. You can see people running across the street. Again, there are 2 groups of teenagers involved in this shooting. Now, in the corner, one of the persons appears to be limping from a leg injury. A woman is also seen pushing a stroller. She's scrambling for safety as gunfire erupts. And take a look at this. This is the weapon police say an 18-year-old had in his backpack, and they had discovered this as officers took him into custody. Now, we spoke with one woman who says she was inside of a bodega when the shots ran out. Can you tell me in English how many gunshots you heard?
How many? Oh, there were. I heard the shot when she opened the door. It was like 4 or 5 shots. Well, I heard like 4. It was blah, 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 blah. So I guess it was like 4.
Oh, my God. So when you heard it?
It was loud, though. It was loud, though. Because she started screaming. She had the kids. So I told her to go inside with the kids.
Once again, police confirmed teenagers, 2 groups of them were involved. 2 were shot. Both are now in stable condition, and a third is suspected of taking part. All 3 are in custody. Investigators say both of the wounded teens already had serious criminal histories. The 18-year-old recently pled guilty to attempted murder, but was released under the state's raise the age law. The 15-year-old has an open violent felony case here in Manhattan. Again, surveillance video shows the 2 wounded teens firing weapons. A firearm with a high-capacity magazine was recovered, and officers and police dogs, they searched 123rd Street for more evidence tonight. And once again, police stress their officers were here. They were trying to stop the gunfire. They opened fire. Big question tonight, did any one of those police officers' bullets hit one of these teenagers?
Down in Coney Island, a 95-year-old woman is being charged with murder after her 89-year-old nursing home roommate was found dead.
And now to an unthinkable crime in Coney Island. A 95-year-old woman now being charged with murder for the fatal beating of her elderly roommate.
So disturbing. Fox 5's Sharon Crowley is live in Coney Island with more on the investigation. Sharon?
Yeah, we're getting some new information from the criminal complaint about exactly how this crime took place. We are live right now in Coney Island. We're outside the Seagate Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in Coney Island. And as you said, police have charged a 95-year-old woman with murdering her 89-year-old roommate. Both of them were in this facility when it happened. Now, this happened Sunday on a 3rd floor room of this residential facility. Now, according to the criminal complaint that was filed by the Brooklyn DA, a nurse telling police that she checked on the 89-year-old victim, Nina Kravtsov, and she said that she was asleep. And then an hour later, the nurse returned to the room only to find her covered in blood, and her roommate, the defendant, 95-year-old Galina Smirnova, washing blood off of her clothing in the bathroom. Now, the criminal complaint reads in part that the victim, Nina Kravtsov, was lying in her bed, non-responsive, covered in blood with a gash mark about her face. And further, the witness saying that the defendant was in the bathroom that is inside the patient room and observed that the defendant's hospital gown was bloody and the defendant had blood on her legs, and the defendant was also washing her hands in the bathroom sink. I spoke with families who have relatives in this care facility a short time ago. You can imagine they were shocked.
I was terrified. I didn't know what to think, actually, and it's like the first thing I did was call to make sure my mom was okay and that nobody else got hurt. And then I came to visit her today.
I heard about accident. That's it. That somebody killed somebody.
What did you think?
It's terrible. Terrible.
And I came to see my wife at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30. She explained to me like what happened. I said to she, yeah, I see everything in the news.
And court documents showing that investigators may be looking at the pedals of the wheelchair as a possible murder weapon. They were covered in blood, according to the criminal complaint. And one of those pedals was seen. It was thrown out the third-floor window and later found and confiscated by police. So the defendant in this case has been moved to Bellevue and will be back in court later this month.
Over in Belrose, Queens, a community is rallying together to honor the elderly couple brutally killed inside their home.
Vigil is being held tonight for the Queens couple brutally murdered and burned in their home in Belrose.
This as we're learning some new details about the suspect accused of killing them. Fox 5's Jessica Formosa joins us live with the details that are very hard to hear. Jess.
Bianca, Natasha, that's right. A vigil will be held this evening here at 7:30 for the Altons in front of their home. But I can tell you this, the Belrose community just angry and shaken after hearing about the suspect's confession and what he did after torturing and killing the elderly couple. It is sickening and disturbing. 42-year-old Jamel McGriff was arraigned last night. He faces 12 counts of murder in the first degree, robbery, burglary, arson, and a number of other charges for the deaths of 76-year-old Frank Alton and his 77-year-old wife, Maureen. McGriff, a career criminal, a sex offender who was out on parole, confessed to police that he killed the Altons. Court documents state that he forced his way into the home and told authorities, quote, "I'll admit it, I killed them, I don't give a expletive, I burnt, and I molested them." After committing the heinous crime, authorities say the suspect allegedly went on a shopping spree at the Macy's in Herald Square, where he spent around $800 using the Altons' credit cards. But listen to this. He used his own Macy's Rewards account number to gain points, all of it caught on camera. They say he also allegedly cashed in the victim's cell phones for cash in the Bronx. According to the criminal complaint, the suspect allegedly tied Frank Alton to a pole in the basement and stabbed him multiple times in the torso. Neighbors horrified by the details.
That is sick. That is really sick. How could he even go and do shopping and then go and eat and everything? I guess he must have ate something too.
Now, the suspect is being held without bail. If convicted, he could face life in prison. Again, here at 7:30, a vigil will be held for the Altons. We are expecting a large turnout.
And finally, we end in Lower Manhattan, where a judge dismissed terrorism charges against Luigi Mangione in New York State's case over the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
We have some breaking news we want to tell you about out of Lower Manhattan. A state judge has thrown out terrorism charges against the man accused of gunning down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
Good day, Briella Tomasetti, live at the Manhattan Criminal Court. What happened?
Yeah, well, Kurt and Rosanna, good morning to both of you. This hearing was relatively quick. It started at 9 o'clock this morning. Reporters, lawyers, everybody is leaving the courthouse right now. So we're talking about something that lasted less than an hour. And again, the lawyers have argued for Luigi Mangione that the state charges should be dropped. They say that the state case and the federal case, which carries the death penalty, should not be happening at the same time. They don't have a fair shot at a fair trial. And the judge today did decide to drop those terror charges, but is letting the second-degree murder charges stand. It's unclear right now what that means for Luigi Mangione's sentence. We know that his max sentence on these state charges was life in prison. We also don't have an explanation from the judge on that ruling. We're hoping to get that handed down soon. But supporters have been gathered outside here all morning. They are, here in fighting in his defense, trying to bring attention to the flaws in the healthcare industry. But again, the breaking news this morning is that the state terrorism charges, Rosanna and Kurt, have been dropped. The second-degree murder charges still stand, and Luigi Mangione potentially still looking at a very long sentence because he faces 11 counts, or he did in total, before this ruling came down.
That's this week's Crime in the City. Subscribe for more at youtube.com/Fox5NY.